Welcome to day one of this year's high school winter pitching program. My name is Coach Dornick. I'm the pitching director for Great Lakes, and I run all the training over at the Woodbury facility, and I'll be overseeing the schedules and the training and what you guys do up at Arden Hill. So excited to have you guys with us. We've been running this program for 7 years now, and excited to have you guys with us. Here's what we'll run through in this PowerPoint today, goals and expectations. There'll be a player questionnaire that you guys will do, which will have some feedback that'll kind of dictate some of the stuff we do from a throwing standpoint. We'll run through what the program schedule looks like, where we go from today to the end of March. We'll take a look at daily schedules, what they look like, how they're the guide, and then we'll peek into today's schedule before we get started. We'll run through program changes. Each year we make adjustments based on what works best from a number standpoint, facility standpoint, and what makes the best result. So we'll run through those changes. Talk a little bit about philosophy. We'll get into this in more detail when we go through some of our movements and mechanics presentations and pitch design presentations. But we'll talk a little bit about that today, and then we'll go through a few big items. If you don't follow Lumberjack Arms on Twitter or X, go ahead and follow us. We'll try and put out as much content as we can. Goals and expectations. These are pretty simple. You guys are in a pitching program to get better at pitching, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to do that by various different ways. We're going to increase velocity. Velocity is not the only thing. If we can't command the baseball and spin the baseball and do the other things on the mound, velocity doesn't matter. So we're going to enhance and change our movements and mechanics so we can deliver the baseball better and more often where we want it to go. Preventative maintenance. Strength is a big part of throwing, so we are going to attack the shoulder. I don't think about arm care as a preventative thing. I think about it as I'm strengthening my arm so I can throw more often. And then all of this, what we're really trying to do is create a routine for future success. At some point, when this program ends, you'll no longer be with our coaches and you'll be in a high school program, and you may be responsible for your daily throwing, your drill work, your growth, and then take that into the summer and into the fall. So really what we're giving you is a playbook of how to continue to develop over time. Expectations for you guys. I have no doubt you'll be able to accomplish the first two really easily, compete and work hard. Everybody does that. The ones in bold are the biggest ones. Perform drills with intent. It's easy to go on the turf and throw a med ball, but why am I throwing a med ball? What am I trying to do? So if we take that into philosophy, build on the 1% better concept, we're going to get better with every single rep rather than doing reps. You'll see on the schedules we'll talk about in a little bit. It's not high rep. We're not doing drill work for 20 minutes. We might be doing 7 reps of this drill work, and if we do those 7 reps really good, it's going to translate. But if we don't do those 7 reps good, well, then we might need to do 30 to get those 7 good ones in. Push yourself in your peers. We're going to end up competing in med ball velocity and command training. So push yourself, push others. And then the last one's important. We need to throw to get better at throwing. So we're going to end up throwing a lot. We'll look at the throwing schedule throughout the year shortly. But make sure you communicate with what your arm and body tells you. Questionnaire. So we'll fill this out at the end. Don't fill it out right now, but I'll have you scan the QR code at the end. Probably one of the biggest things is max velo, and then gathering some goal information, and then a little bit about you and what you want to do throughout this program. So here's a very high level. We're starting this week, the week of December 2nd. We'll go through the week of March 8th. And that is bumping up right before the high school spring starts. So there's a bunch of different programs running on different days. The majority of you guys are Tuesday, Thursday guys up at Arden. So your schedule will kind of be Tuesdays when we get to throwing twice a week. Tuesdays will be the lighter intent day. And then Thursdays will be the heavier intent throw day when we get to that. Each day you will have a daily schedule, and your coach will pass this out at the end here. This is your guide. This is your playbook that you will have each day. It will get pretty detailed, but it's going to outline and be a guide of what you're doing, when you're doing it, how much of what you're doing. Eventually, we'll split into groups, have guys doing different things at different times. That allows us to maximize our efficiency, utilize the space, and just be really efficient with our time. So when you get these, look at them, have an understanding, kind of have a game plan for the day, and your coach will review these with you at the beginning of each session. This is a time allocation snapshot of last year's program of how much time we spent in what area. You can see the biggest chunk is throwing. We're going to do a lot of throwing, but that's only part of developing as an arm and as a pitcher to become, that elite thrower. It's going to take a bunch of other things that are going to add to that development. Arm care is obviously a big chunk, but that's because we do it for about, 5 minutes each day to work on strengthening the shoulder. We'll do a lot of explosive med ball, water ball training. A lot of those elements allow us to throw at high intent without that stress on the shoulder that a normal baseball has. So we'll do a lot of that early on, and then we'll dive into a bunch of different classroom work along the way to make sure that we're building a good understanding of movements and mechanics, what we're trying to do, and then build the mental game and have a good understanding of pitch design along the way. So here's a little more detailed throwing schedule of where we're going from this week until the last week. So you can see in the second to last column, the intensity column, we're going to slowly build up. Eventually, we're going to be throwing 90, 95, 100% every week, but we're going to build up to that. It's December 3rd, so we are all a long ways away from actually needing to get hitters out on the field. So we're going to build into that. We will be doing a bunch of stuff on the mound early on with med balls, water balls, PVC, and a lot of our drill work. And then we'll eventually blend that to drill throws on the mound. And then we'll build up our intensity on the mound, have a couple pitch design sessions on the mound, and potentially some live bullpens or live ABs in the last 2 weeks. A lot of the fun stuff happens on the mound at the end, especially with pitch design. So I wish we could fast forward to that, but we're going to go build up to that in a progressive way that keeps everybody on page. This kind of shows that in a little different perspective. This is a graph of last year's charts of how the throws and intensity and mound work increased from the first week of December to the last week of March. So you can see that blue column. That's our intensity line. We started at around 60%, built up to 100%, and you can see those peaks and valleys later on, starting in mid-January, and those really kind of show the difference between our Tuesday lighter days and our Thursday higher intent days. Our green and yellow are our mound stuff. Our yellows are mound drill throws. Those will be a little more heavily weighted in early on, sprinkle themselves out as we get to normal mound throwing. You can see the green, and that builds up in our pitch count as we go towards the end. Once we get to the point when we get on the mound, we'll start taking some film, break down mechanics. I'll take each guy through a 62-point mechanical eval check. This is something I built that's designed to find the intricate details to help facilitate development and growth. It's not one thing that is preventing someone, from the ability to command a baseball. It's not one thing that's costing someone 3 to 5 miles per hour. It's going to be a combination of a bunch of little things. So this works start to finish in the delivery process and also kind of top down in importance. This outline in all these items, the understanding will be built through our mechanical presentation. We'll walk through each item, where we see the importance and what each item means. Once we have that eval done, we'll cut everybody's deficiencies up into a pitch card, and this is going to be our guide to our drill work intent on the turf, so we can have a focus of what we're trying to do in front of us every single day. All right, explosive training. So the most important parts of a delivery are when we are unstable. So when we're on one leg in the drive phase going down the mound, one's ability to hold energy through that and then explosively rotate out of that is what really makes the high level thrower. So through med balls, water balls, a bunch of different drill setups and different exercises, we're going to train those moments of instability. So in that moment, we can be really good at holding energy, rotating out, and being super explosive. Blend that into the med ball stuff I touched on earlier. We're going to train the body to move fast, explosive, and rotate really well. Once we get to our pitch design sessions later in the program, we'll be jumping on the Rapsodo, looking at what our movement profiles of our each pitches are doing. And then we're going to look to enhance those movement profiles, look to make our breaking balls, our curveball sliders break more vertically, slide more, work on adding changeup depth, run to our fastballs. You can kind of see the chart. This is the most common pitcher I see that comes in where their four-seam, two-seam changeup all have similar movement profiles. And we're talking about attacking hitters. If everything kind of moves the same, it's going to be easier to hit rather than having, 3, 4, 5 different profiles. So we'll take a look at everybody's movement profiles and then find a way to expand them. We'll look at different wrist angles, different pressures, offsetting the baseball, thumb placement, and then our wrist angles at release. So we'll do a bunch of different drill work, both from a throwing side and then a mechanical side. You can see those listed there. We'll do a bunch of different throwing drills that each have a different purpose. If we do these well with intent, we're going to be able to maximize on that portion of the sequence that we're working on. A bunch of different drills to the right. We'll do a few of these in our first day today. Here are the program changes based on last year. Some of you guys may have done, the weighted ball plyo care stuff. We will do this. We'll do this later on. Most programs have people doing this on the front end of throwing, but what we have found is that we see arm speeds and intent more closer to our high intent, and we're doing that before we're throwing. So we do it more after we go through our baseball throwing and then blend in some small underload, overload so we can take advantage of what those do for us. Bunch of savage. So the explosive training I talked about, I got rid of a bunch of the stuff that is more strength related, more speed related, the push-ups type stuff. And we're going to stick to the stuff that is a rotational element that is more geared towards throwing. So we'll do a little bit more intentional based savage training. We added more pitch design sessions this year. Concept to turf. This will follow along with our mechanical presentations. We'll have our first concept on Thursday. Mental training sessions that'll be built in a little bit later on. Then we'll eventually blend in some new mobility that's going to help with the way our hips and core are moving down the slope. We'll get into this deeper a little bit. These are the 6 pillars of pitching that I believe in that we need to be good in to develop that elite pitcher. It's not just velocity. It's not just throwing hard. It's going to be all of these other elements working together to build ourselves into the pitcher we want to become. And we'll dive into these each more because each one of these have different facets that we want to really be good in. And the more we learn, the more we're able to develop and adapt on the mound. So one big concept I want you guys to take in from the very start is the kinetic chain. And this is going to answer the question of how do I move more efficiently? How do I throw faster, easier? How can I throw more and more often? Where can I throw it where I want it, when I want it? So we've all seen, high level throwers, even professional guys that aren't tall in stature. They don't weigh a lot. They don't look very strong, but they're able to deliver the baseball at very high velocity and do a lot of cool things with it. And that really comes down to maximizing the kinetic chain. So working from the ground up, everything we do at the beginning of the delivery is going to have an impact on the finish and how it comes out of the hand. We've all been the pitcher on the mound where a coach has said, bend over, reach out, follow through, finish. And all those things are dictated upon previous actions that happened earlier. So a lot of that focus should be back to good back foot pressure, good drive down the mound, good momentum, good lower half rotation to have that impact on what's happening at the end. So everything we do, we want to make sure we're really good from the ground up, and we'll dive into what we want to do with our back foot and back foot pressure. But if we do these things, we're going to have a bunch of positive effects. Injury risk goes down. We're more durable. We can throw more. We're going to be more effective from a command standpoint. And then in turn, if we increase that velo, it's going to increase that spin rate. We're going to have more success on the mound. Things will come a little bit easier, and all these actions will be repeatable. This next image, this really shows it in a little better way. When a body part of this figure goes bright green, that is when it's at its highest velo. So you will see it go from the lower half into the pelvis, into the hips, into the core, to the shoulder, to the elbow, to the wrist, and then to the hand. We sequence our body, and we work on this during every throw that we make, from a baseball throw to our drill work to a med ball throw. If we work on that sequencing and improving that kinetic chain, we're going to have really good results coming out of the hand. Sure, all you guys are hitters. Everybody's got kind of a good understanding from a hitting standpoint that to be successful, I need to hit the ball hard, hit the ball far. In order to do that, I need to swing fast, swing hard, have really good quick hands, have quick movements. For some reason, this gets lost with the pitching standpoint, and it's because as a pitcher, I can dictate the action. So I got the ball in my hand, I can go step, turn, leg kick, up, down, take as much time as I want. But in reality, these two are more similar than they are different. There's different elements of where our hands are holding the implements, but the pure elements of what the body's doing in space is the same. And I think the biggest thing that gets lost with pitchers is that speed, is that timing, that explosiveness of being able to move fast, be fast, rotate fast in order to deliver a fast arm and have that ball come out really well. So kind of keep the kinetic chain and the fast movements kind of engraved in your minds, in the back of your head as we start training. Here's a quick peek at today's schedule. Your coach will pass these out to you guys. So just running through classroom work, we'll go through a little bit of a pre-throw. We'll expand on our pre-throw as we go through these sessions here. We're going to go through probably our second common most med ball circuit, and this is a little bit flat ground with a rotational element, working lead front side element, and then we get to some back foot pressure and rotation stuff. Run through some of our core drill work. You can see the drill work, like it's 10 reps flat ground, 10 reps mound, 10 reps toe. We're not doing a lot of reps of these, so the focus and intent, we make these 10 reps really good. We're going to fly through this and then be able to get a lot more. Go through a quick sprint circuit. I don't believe in running, especially from a long distance standpoint, but I do believe in that acceleration and being explosive from the start. If we think about the pitching action, happens really quick, 1.5 seconds. Let's be explosive. So our sprints will be 3 to 5 yards, shut it down, but be as explosive as possible in those first couple steps. Any questions at any time, let Josh or myself know. Happy to answer those. Excited to get the program going. Go ahead and grab your phones, take a snapshot QR code here, and fill out the questionnaire. I'm looking forward to an exciting winter with you guys.